So guys, Xbox continues the onslaught of brand new Xbox Game Pass games launching this January. We have not only new games, but 4 new Day 1 Game Pass games headed our way. I'm Sonny, your host here at Xbox Central, and of course, a couple of big games are available today in Resident Evil 2 Remake and those who remain. Let's start with Resident Evil 2 Remake. The classic game has been remade, and now a rookie cop and a college student must survive a plague-infested raccoon city. The game was released about a couple years ago, and it was remade to include some really gorgeous visuals, modernized controls, and just improved gameplay. And Resident Evil 2 Remake has honestly had the game just more intensified with all these improvements that have led to more impactful and more tension, and overall has made the game just more intense in general, while also including new puzzles and new content. This is now available to play today. Now, the other game is Those Who Remain, that's also launching today. This is a psychological horror game where the story unfolds through a series of unsettling events that are triggered by your actions and choices as you play a guy named Edward Turner who is trapped in a small and mysterious town, and now he's just trying to survive. This arrives on consoles, cloud, and PC. So our first brand new Day 1 Game Pass game that we're talking about today is Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. This is a top-down roguelike where you take over an adorable turnip boy, only you're actually not so cute, but you're an absolute menace to society itself. You apparently haven't paid off your taxes, and the debt you owe to Mayor Onion is now huge, and you decide to go on an epic adventure to rob banks in full. The game is just full of action, puzzles, hilarious fights against vegetables and fruits, as well as some crazy dangerous animals trying to eat you. This really looks like a fun time. The game has puzzles, crime, huge battles, even harvesting to aid you in multiple endings, and overall it looks to be a bit of a sleeper hit in my opinion. This does arrive on January 18th on consoles, cloud, and PC. So I've been a huge fan of the F1 series, and Xbox with EA Play is set to release F1 2023 on Game Pass, and guys, I couldn't be more excited. Now, this franchise has really made me into a racing fan because man, this gets as hardcore as heck in terms of realism. We're talking setting up on race day with in-depth fine-tuning your car's every aspect, and the F1 series has been notorious though for also being almost too difficult and almost too real for your average gamer. But over the years, they've really eased up and made the game more accessible for casual plebs like myself, which I personally really appreciate. Now, with F1 2023, there's a new story mode called Breaking Point 2. It's really ratcheting up the drama. There's also 2-player split screen, ranked multiplayer mode, and full crossplay where you can play with other players across other different platforms. If you guys don't like racing games like I used to not like years ago before this franchise brought me in, I would encourage you guys to give F1 2023 a shot. I mean, it's an exhilarating game, it's fun, it can be hardcore and challenging, and it's one of the best racing games out there. This will land on January 18th on consoles and PC. So I'm not gonna lie, for me this was a shocking surprise as a Day 1 Game Pass title in Palworld. This is a game that mimics Pokemon and more like just the aesthetics, because this game is far from a carbon copy of that franchise. For one, there's guns, man. So imagine Pokemon with guns. Not just that though, get this, the creatures are called pals, and they can be used to fight alongside you. They can aid you. You can even have them farm and work on your factories. You can even sell them to other players. But guys, you can even eat them, for Christ's sakes. My goodness, that's brutal. Palworld is an open world multiplayer survival game where you can do an insane amount of activities. You can catch these pals. You can even break into wildlife sanctuaries and steal them, so you can absolutely be a criminal. You can do things like breed them. There is full-on dungeon diving, and as I mentioned earlier, there's farming and then factory production. There's of course intense gunfights left and right, and there's just so much more. The multiplayer aspects are pretty interesting as well. Now, they said down the line PvP will be coming in a future update, so there isn't any killing each other right now, and I know maybe some of you are going to be happy about that, but either way, you can do absolutely anything with other players. Meanwhile, without killing, you can do things like trading and adventuring together. At the moment, there's 4-player co-op that you guys can play together with, and then there's dedicated servers that can have up to 32 players in total altogether in a same world. The game is really, I feel like, the total package, and the creature aspect of it seems kind of reimagined in many ways. This game has a lot of hype right now. I think it's really amazing to see Xbox is getting this on Game Pass, and this does land on January 19th. Now, another new Day 1 Game Pass game that I think think a lot of people might overlook, but I really feel like you shouldn't because it looks awesome, is Go Mecha Ball. This is a top-down roguelike twin-stick shooter that looks action-packed with some amazing gameplay. Essentially, you're going to be going on runs and defeating waves of enemies, and you're going to be fighting huge boss battles, and in between you'll be upgrading as you go along. Now the gameplay is a mixture of the twin-stick action, but you'll see some pinball-style physics throughout your gameplay as well, and all of it's done in these arcade style of levels, and you'll be combining strategy and your precise movements mixed with your weapons and abilities, and hopefully you'll be picking smart upgrades to go along through the levels. Guys, I'm super excited for this one. I think it looks promising. This lands on January 25th on Game Pass on cloud, console, and PC. Another top-down roguelike is coming to Game Pass. This game actually released last year in Brotato, and now here you play as one of the only remaining potatoes left alive who's crashed on an alien planet, now surrounded by hordes of aliens and enemies. Now this game has that auto-firing mechanic like you would see in the game Vampire Survivors, so in that sense the game will seem very familiar if you've played that. The gameplay though for me is where this does look like it really shines. There's hundreds of items and weapons that are going to be at your disposal as you auto shoot, and you just see complete mayhem unfold. Runs last about under 30 minutes, and the game has been insanely loved since it released in June of 2023 with over 60,000 overwhelmingly positive user reviews, so a lot of people love this game. Brotato does land on Game Pass on January 30th on cloud, console, and PC. Alright, so we get our first look at some February games, and this is another day one Game Pass game in Persona 3 Reload. This is the upcoming remake of the fan favorite Persona 3 title from 2006, and this game's all about giving both new and old players a revamped experience of this classic JRPG title with enhanced visuals and quality of life gameplay improvements. Now in this game you play as a high school student who joins the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, which is SEES for short, and you're going to be combating an army of shadows and uncovering the mysteries in the dark hour. Now Persona 3 Reload sticks to its traditional role-playing and social simulation gameplay with overhauled graphics to really keep the essence of the original while giving it some much needed modern enhancements, including a more detailed map, user-friendly HUD, and a ton of additional activities that players can do while they're in their dorm. It's a must-play title if you're looking for an unforgettable RPG experience, and this is coming to Game Pass on February 2nd. Now our next game is Anuchard. This is a top-down action-adventure that has you playing the Bell Wielder, the special chosen one set to revive the ancient and magical town that was taken down by the very people who used to protect it in the 5 ancient guardians who have now completely turned on the kingdom and its people. Now you as the hero, you'll be using this power of the Bell Wielder in every single aspect, from using it within combat to fight off foes, but also as a tool to aid you in puzzles. Meanwhile, you'll be dungeon diving to rescue citizens and reviving them, and as you do, they start to come back to the ancient city in the sky, and they start to aid you in your quest. You'll be helping a farmer or a chef, and they'll be helping you with resources. The game really looks like a lot of fun. It's received very positive user reviews, and this does land on Game Pass on February 6th on cloud, console, and PC. Another game this February is Plateup. This is an action-packed, chaotic cooking and puzzle game inspired by Overcooked, only in this one, you're actually managing the entire restaurant yourself in full. This arrives on February 15th, and then our last game that we know confirmed is Open Roads. This is a beautiful looking interactive adventure game that has a daughter and mother looking into their family's past, and what they find is something they don't expect. This lands on February 2nd. So we have a new day one Game Pass game, and this is the beloved 2018 survival city builder that saw over 80,000 overwhelmingly positive user reviews. That's the game Frostpunk, and we are getting the sequel in Frostpunk 2 that is set to land later this year. Now this game is taking place 30 years after the apocalyptic blizzard that took place in that first game, and you'll be playing as a leader who is set to lead survivors in a resource-hungry town trying to stay alive, avoid internal conflict, and just in general thrive in this new world. Now with a game like this, it's not your typical city builder. There's aspects of a post-apocalyptic environment that really resonates throughout the entire game. You're trying to keep up with scarce resources, you're trying to manage different factions that have broken off and are wanting to hurt each other, and your job's to be the leader and navigate the politics of all that, and of course try to keep the peace while also maintaining the infrastructure of what is almost like a house of cards. The game's really good at kind of crafting this story as you navigate these hard waters of a society trying to thrive. Meanwhile, you'll be dealing with human ambition, human greed, and everything around you is just falling apart. Frostpunk 2 should be a good one when it lands later this year on Game Pass. Alright guys, with that we have some rumors of a potential Game Pass type of thing here that we might see down the line. Gears of War Collection might be in testing according to some gaming industry insiders. This would be a collection of the Gears of War games. Think like the Halo Master Chief Collection, for example, and the rumor is that it would have the Ultimate Edition, Gears 2, Gears 3, and then Gears 4. We'll see if it's true, and maybe we'll hear about that soon. We also got an update on a game we know is coming to Game Pass in Stalker 2, and they showed some updated screenshots. This game is set to hit Game Pass this early 2024, and this is one of my most anticipated games of the year, and man, I just love that it's coming to Game Pass. Finally, we have a game leaving Game Pass this January 31st, and it's a good one. Lately, we're losing some super good games, which is like a huge bummer. Hitman World of Assassination's the game that's leaving here in a few weeks. Meanwhile, though, guys, I do have an insane list of the best Xbox Game Pass games you don't want to miss right there on the screen.